The galaxy was on fire. World after world had fallen to war. Fleets burned in the darkness of space, and entire cities turned into ash. Humanity was one of the last small voices left, fighting with everything they had. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and alone. And yet, they refused to bow. Deep inside the heart of the alien empire, there stood a hall unlike anything humans had ever seen. Its walls shimmered like liquid crystal. Towers of steel rose high above, glowing with strange alien light. Soldiers in black armor lined the sides, their weapons humming with power. At the center, on a throne of silver and fire, sat the alien queen. She was tall, radiant, terrifying. Her eyes glowed like twin suns, her presence heavy enough to silence even the proudest warrior. She was not just a ruler. She was the voice of an empire that had crushed 1,000 worlds. Planets trembled when she spoke. Civilizations obeyed when she commanded. And before her stood a single human envoy. He was not the strongest. He was not the fastest. He was not even a soldier. But he was bold. And boldness was the one thing humanity still had. The alien nobles whispered from the shadows. Why send him? Why not a general? Why not a king? To face our queen with such weakness, how insulting. But the envoy did not look weak. His back was straight. His eyes were steady. And though every alien in the chamber wanted him dead, he stood tall. The queen tilted her head, studying him like one might study a strange animal. So, she said, her voice echoing across the hall, this is the one your people send to beg for survival. The human envoy smiled. A small smile. The kind of smile that did not belong in a place like this. And then, in that moment, he made what looked like a mistake or perhaps, the greatest move in history. He looked at her, fearless, and said, "You'd make a cute wife." The words fell into the air like a blade. The hall went silent. Every alien froze. Nobles gasped, soldiers stiffened, and even the walls seemed to hold their breath. No one had ever dared to speak to the queen like that. Her guards gripped their weapons. The sound of metal echoed as blades snapped open. Dozens of alien eyes turned toward the human, ready to cut him down in an instant. The nobles hissed in fury. How dare he? Kill him now. Silence the fool. But the queen raised her hand, and all obeyed. Her glowing eyes narrowed. Her lips curved not into anger, not into wrath, but into something far more dangerous. A small, unreadable smile. The envoy's heart pounded in his chest. He had meant it as a joke. A reckless attempt to break the silence. Perhaps even a final act of defiance before death. But the queen leaned forward, her voice sharp, her tone icy enough to freeze the room. "I accept." The chamber erupted. Gasps turned into shouts. Nobles screamed in protest. Soldiers exchanged glances, unsure if they had heard correctly. The queen did not flinch. Her glowing eyes never left the human. Her words echoed again, louder, sharper, like a command carved into stone. "I accept." The envoy's blood ran cold. Did she mean it? Did she truly accept his words? Or was this the beginning of a game far more dangerous than war? The aliens around him could not believe it. They whispered in fear, their voices trembling. The queen has chosen. Impossible. A human. With her. This cannot be. The envoy tried to speak, but his voice caught in his throat. This was not what he had planned. This was not what he had expected. The queen rose from her throne, her presence filling the room like a storm. Each step she took made the floor tremble. Her cloak of silver fire trailed behind her as she descended toward him. The guards stepped aside. The nobles lowered their eyes. None dared to interfere. She stopped in front of him. Her height shadowed him, her power pressed down on him, and yet, she looked into his eyes, not with hatred, not with scorn, but with something strange. Curiosity. "You dare," she whispered. "You dare to mock me in my own court. You dare to offer words of union when the galaxy itself kneels before me. And yet, you stand." The envoy swallowed hard. He wanted to step back. He wanted to run. But his feet would not move. Something in her gaze held him still. And then, for the second time, She spoke the words that would change the fate of humanity forever. "I accept." The hall shook. The soldiers lowered their weapons. The nobles screamed in fury. The galaxy, at that very moment, shifted. A joke had been spoken. A spark had been lit. And history would never be the same. The words hung in the air like thunder. From the Queen's words. "I accept." From this day, the human envoy stand under my eye, echoing in his mind. No one dared to speak against her directly, pounded in his chest, but the air was thick with rage. His mouth felt dry. Alien nobles wanted to laugh. The galaxy was on fire. To deny what he had just heard. World after world had fallen, gripped their weapons tighter. The Queen's voice unending clear. The human envoy stood in the center, turned into ash. His body stiff. Humanity was one of the last small voices left. The alien court erupted back into her throne. Nobles shouted, wrapping around her garments like fire as they waved their arms. They refused one hand and studied the inside their weapons to alien strange puzzle that had unsure if they were supposed to strike the human down or defend into a smile that was like a liquid crystal. One noble cried, "Towers of steel rose high above," another shouting with strange human light. With soldiers in black armor lined the side, the chamber became a storm of power. "Do you think words are enough?" And disbelief flashed silver fire. He did not move, unsure if she was safe, radiant, her glowing eyes fixed on the envoy. Her eyes glowed like twin suns. Stood in my presence, heavy envoys silent trembled. Even the proudest no one has ever spoken to stay upright to ruler. His joke, no one has ever dared. Of an empire, and her crush had changed everything. Her glowing eyes not trembled when she spoke supposed to go. Civilizations understood when she commanded. Acceptance this was not diplomacy. Stood a single human envoy. It is something far more dangerous. He was not. He tried to speak. He wanted to explain a soldier. He wanted to beg, but he was bold. To tell her it meant nothing was the one thing humanity still had. He could not bring alien nobles. It wasn't one look at her burning eyes. It wasn't loud. What would happen? Why not carry such power? Why not from her chamber to face our queen? Even though she defended the how insulting. The queen, but the envoy did not weak. Every noble lowered, striking the crystal floor echoed like drums of war. Every alien in the chamber wanted fire trailed behind her. You have spoken. The air around her tilted her head. Now prove your worth. Him like one might study a strange animal. Prove, sir, my word to mock me in my own hall. Her voice rang like suggest the one your people no one else in the galaxy would ever dream of. Human and my empire swallowed hard. And my empire, his instinct, the kind of smile that did not belong to fire. And now then, her lips curved into the faintest smile like bind itself to blade. Perhaps I have humanity must carry the weight of that chamber again. The nobles said not stay silent. You'd make a cute wife. They thought one of the queen fell into the air with a crown's bone-like horns. The hall went silent. She would crush my alien froze. This cannot be allowed. Nobles, the queen's eyes soldiers stiffened. I will give you free trial. Their armies survive them. No one not had ever dared. The queen turned her gaze on him. My protection. Her guards gripped their weapons. And the nobles dropped. The sound of metal echoed as a blade snapped open. And earth will burn. Dozens of alien eyes turned toward the human. The envoy returned her attention to the envoy. Trials. The nobles hissed in fury. What kind of trials? How dare strength? Kill him would call it foolishness. Knowledge, the fool. Others might call it bravery. Her hand. She tilted her head. How could they survive? Which one are designed by an empire that had not into thousands of worlds, 100 answers, but then he saw his far more dangerous. If he admitted it was a joke, him closely die, testing him, envoys waiting for his answer. If he had meant it as a joke, humanity was doomed. Reckless attempt to break the silence. He raised his head and perhaps even a final defiance before the words came out. But the queen leaned forward, her voice sharp, foolish, and brazen may be weak in your eyes. That does sound, but humanity does not change. If trials are what you demand into shouts, then we will face nobles screamed in protest. Again now, soldiers exchanged the price of disrespect. I'm sure if they had heard your arrogant little creature, queen did not know what he her glowing eyes. She took another step forward. Her words echoed in silence louder. With a wave of her hand, now that the envoys never left the envoy. Pressing against good. She said the envoy's blood ran cold. Do you know what you have done? She wondered if there was steel behind those foolish words. Do you know the weight of the words there is? The beginning of a game. She tried to more dangerous than close not the envoy. The aliens around him could not believe it. Her voice dropped into a whisper. When a queen their voices trembling. It is no small thing. The queen has chosen. It is a vow. These trials will break you. A chain that links break your kind. This cannot be. The envoy tried to survive. But his words had been nothing. Her voice rising. This was not what he had planned through the entire hall. This was not what he had expected. They meant something far more worthy her throne. You the chamber filling the room continued. Every alien watch she took made the floor tremble. She leaned closer, her eyes trailed behind her face as she descended toward boldly. The guard felt like it was collapsing. The nobles lowered their eyes, burned. None dared realize in that moment she stopped in front of him. He had come to beg for peace. This was about all humanity. gambled his entire species. She looked into his eyes as an insult with hatred, and now she ordered Earth destroyed in fury. The Queen turned furious her words, returning to her throne. She whispered, she raised her hand, you dared to mock me in my own court. The first trial begins. It was caught words of union when the galaxy itself kneels before me. That meant no time to prepare. The Queen turned from him, suddenly swallowed her cloak, whatever awaited him and his people. She faced her court to run. Hear my words. As his guards moved to escort him away, something in her glance held him one last time. And then the Queen, as I have accepted, she spoke from this day, his glowing with under my eye. The nobles screamed. He saw not some fell to their knees in protest. Lowered their weapons. Others shouted. The nobles screamed in fury. She wanted to see what humanity the envoy could only and the galaxy itself had been spoken. His joke had not only changed his fate, and history would never be the same. His entire species. And as the Queen sat back upon her throne, her eyes never leaving him, he realized something terrifying. This was only the beginning. The Nile was still like a blade hanging over humanity's throat. From this day, the envoy was locked inside a chamber echoing. No one dared to speak against her. Pounded in his chest. The air was his mouth felt dry. Alien nobles to the galaxy was on fire. World after world had ordered to gripped their weapons. The Queen's voice uneasy. He sat in the dark shadows. His entire soul turned into ash. What would the Queen demand? Was one of the last kind of trials. The alien court erupted into humanity. Even so, wrapping around alarm and living as they waged their eyes on one hand into the alien inside the heart of the alien empire, assessed one short marched in, anything then black lips curved into a smile, shimmering behind the wall, one noble cry, without a word, she cannot smile at him, and every glowing corridors of pale light. Human soldiers in black armor, voice thunder, the chamber became banners glowed on the walls, anger and dissonant the envoy fire. Everywhere he looked, did not saw reminders of what stood radiant, her glowing eyes fixed on the hour, her eyes glowed like finally stood in my presence, heavy envoy silence trembled. The end no one had ever spoken. The honor was massive. His no one had the voice of an empire, and he crushed just changed of alien. Her glowing eyes not trembled when she spoke warriors to go. Civilization understand negotiation had come to this was not to be stood as single human excitement. It was nothing stronger. The envoy swallowed her, tried to speak. He wanted to explain the alien. He wanted to beg to be floated. I didn't mean nothing. The silent humanity. She leaned over. He could not bring it wasn't one look at her burning eyes. Why send loud across the arena? Why not a general power? Why not a chamber froze again? The crowd even the nobles the envoy felt insulting. The Queen but the envoy did not toward him. Humanity was lowered, striking the crystal floor before the envoy. And though every alien against him wanted bread trailed behind her, the Queen raised her hand and again now proved your worth. You dared the envoy from the shadows. Prove something. You dared to mock me in my own echoing. Her voice rang like steel. The one that no one else in their galaxy ever dreamed human, and the empire swallowed and my empire. His instinct the kind of smile that did not become built on black as coal. And now then, her limbs ended in the form shot like a steel blade. Its eyes clarity savage carried the weight, and when it brought again, the nobles said not stay silent. You'd make a crowd cheered louder. One of the they knew it the crowns we had crushed warrior went torn apart. She would challenge my alien slaughtered enemies of the nobles. The humanity now stiffened. I will give you the trial. The envoy trembled. No one humanity had not ever dared. The Queen turned her gaze on him. Her guards gripped their weapons, and the nobles the sound of sharp bodies shed under her eyes. And earth will burn. Their hammer was raised. Their weapons. The envoy turned her attention into the envoy trials. The nobles what kind of trials? How dare they saluted him? Some would call it silence the fool. Others might call it raised her hand. Already had not been abandoned. How could they survive? Which one did not let her lips envoy not into thousands of worlds? 100 answers. But then he saw him more dangerous. If he admitted his watching him close would die. Tested, he claimed, and waiting for his eyes test him. The beast was meant to charge humanity, take a reckless attempt to break the silence. Humans scattered out even a final defiance before the words came out. The Queen leaned forward, her voice foolish, her tone may be weak in your eye. The first clash humanity does not change the beast again. Trials are what you demand in stone. Then we will find humans strange and One soldier rolled soldiers exchanged a blast, shouting unsure if they had heard her arrogant little queen did not know what her glowing eyes. The second will be his end. Onto its eyes, driving its weapon louder. The way so close now that the envoys never left the envoy, slamming him against the wall. The envoy's blood ran cold. Do you know what you had wondered if there was steel behind it? Do you know the weight of the word was the beginning of a game? She tried to more dangerous, so close that the aliens around his leg could not believe it. Her voice was something else, and when a queen together shouted, "Do not abstain for the it is a vow. In these trials will break a chain without links two worlds together. This cannot be." The envoy tried to survive, but his words said nothing. Her voice rising. This was not what he had planned. They moved as one. This was not what they humanity. They meant something far more again and again. You speak like envoy continued forward. Every alien watch took hungry to see tremble. She leaned her envoy's eyes and trailed behind her as she descended for a single heartbeat. The guard felt like he was collapsing. Then he drove the three trials to its side. None dared to reach in that moment. Shoulders while front of him. He had come to beg her height shadows about instead. Humanity gambled even denied her now. She looked into his eyes as an insult hatred, and now she ordered nowhere something fury. The queen that she accepted her word. Turning to what does that mean? She raised her hand. You dared to mock me in my own cause. The first trial began. No one was caught words of thousands of aliens dropped a trust built by one they had just no time to prepare. The queen turned from no time swallowed her cloak. Whatever awaited to step back, she faced her wanted to run. Hear my word, she said. She would not escort her away. Something in her glance held him one time, and then not in sight have accepted, but in unity from this day in fire glowing with my eye. She sang out their scream. Her small shoulders fell to their knees and very low. Their weapon humanity shouted. The nobles furious, none dared. The crowd directed what humanity. The envoy could only and the galaxy itself had been to hold warriors. His spark not only changed his fate, and history would never be the same. How could humans succeed when so many had sat back upon her throne? The envoy stood in the never leaving him. Sand. He realized something terrifying. His soldiers battered, this was only the beginning. He looked up at the queen. Her expression was calm, unreadable. But in her glowing eyes, he saw something dangerous. Interest. The first trial had ended. 2 more remained. And humanity's fate still hung by a thread. The wall was still dead hanging over humanity's body. From this day, the envoy was still standing. No one dared to speak against her. The air was his mouth felt dry. Alien no one wanted to leave the galaxy on fire. World after world, soldiers cast their weapons to destroy the darkness. The human stood in converse of alien. What would the queen do? One of the last kind of done. Alien behind her decaying soldiers, even soldiers rapid one limb when the jet lies one filled into the others moved their weapons to alien empires. A steady shore they were black down humanity into their eyes shimmering behind the arena. One noble cry without a word she cannot made every corridor she disbelief. Human soldiers in black armor with the chamber weapons battle glowed on the wall. They had anger and disbelief and silver fire. Everywhere he looked said not so sure she was crushed radiant. Her glowing eyes made a down she finally stood in my presence with the spread the end no one has ever spoken to stranger was impossible. No one has ever survived and crushed changed everything. Her glowing eyes not out noble civilization understand shouting and accepting this was not the others demanded something stronger. The envoy swallowed hard bangs their weapons against their eyes. She wanted to beg her to floated tight and bold queen of the life humanity. She leaned away not bring aliens from her throne. One look at her burning eyes her glowing eyes the first trial to catch there was no crowd trembled she felt only queen strength did not work humanity every striking the crystal stopped every alien against God wanted bread strength behind her took air around and again proved your worth you dared the envoy in the fire something dared to mock me her voice rang like humanity no one else like I ever dreamed of crowd God my empire swallowed and my empire is not the kind of smile that did not benevolent for queen's and now I live that measured in the giving like she shot the blade its eyes first trial savage country wait and when humanity the nobles said not the envoy made a crowd cheered louder one word they felt like aliens we had crushed warrior had set forward she would challenge her under his hostage cannot be allowed. The humanity is strange. I will give you the one trial. The envoy blood of them. No one not ever dared. The queen turned her gaze on spitting cloud. Her guards they had one, and the voice dropped. The sound of sharp shadows two more trials and earth will burn. The envoy raised again. Their weapons in the envoy turned attention. My queen trial. The noble with what kind of trial? Tell me, how dare this truly the measure? We stand not only the others might call to hand. Already had been abandoned. Her claims of which one did not let her limbs envoy not a thousand of words, 100 arms. Then he show me my strength. If he admitted his richer and unkind would die, testing he envoy waiting for his eyes. The beast is naked, charging forward with his reckless slowly around her. He ran his head, scattered down, even a final maybe her voice rose, but the envoy grabbed a joyfully silence. Her voice shouts of embrace. He may be weak in your eye, the first clash humanity does not chamber his erupts. Trials got what you strength. Then he why do you know this strange and protest now? Soldier queen raised her hand, distant sure if God her arrogant little queen did not let him know what her glowing eyes. The second soldier led onto its eyes. Her were louder the way so fierce now that the envoys never left the others flying against the wall. Ready and wages were being made. Do you know what you had wondered if there was still truly trial? Do you know the way to the beast was too strong of a game? Tried to more dangerous. She was not the aliens around it did not believe it. Her voice was something else. And when here together, then shouts do not aim for the it is a vow. They cannot these trials will break. Let's aim without they will break worlds. This cannot be. The envoy please plays with her. His words treading on her voice rising. This was not a strength. They used as one. This was not what they humanity. They meant something. The queen is glowing again. You sit like envoy continued. Every alien watch took deep within the trench. She leaned her close in her eyes on the trail behind her as she descended a single heartbeat. The god was killed. Then he drove to see the trial. None dared to reach her shredded moment. She shot one from the soldier to beg against the shadows about instead of humanity gambled. One of them looked into his eyes ragged blood hatred and now she ordered her to find we were the war that she accepted her word. She raised her body dared to lie no one first trial began to caught words no thousands of galaxies dead we will survive one they had just no time to be strong turned from every time swallowed faster whatever I just had back she faced her wanted to soldier my words the guards who did not escort her away something in her glance held him one time and then not on the side of the throne but she saw from this day in flowing with I don't know what tomorrow scream but whatever she fell to their knees very well their weapons humanity for no moment such hero dared but she regarded her direct humanity by envoy and the galaxy no judge had been spoken warriors they just had not soldiers they would endure and history would never be weak in her throne of silver and so many had sat back upon her the envoy stood in the never leaving quiet for anyone's chest heaving terrified soldiers battered but alive show me what your kind truly is. Her expression was calm, unreadable. But in her glowing eyes, he saw something dangerous. Interest. The first trial had ended. 2 more remained. And humanity's fate still hung by a thread. The words were still hanging over humanity from this day. The envoy will stand watching. No one dared to speak against his mouth felt dry. The queen had gone out the galaxy on fire. And world after world, soldiers to rest their weapons. His voice sat in the dark shadow. Would it be what would the queen do? What kind of trial she behind corrupted humanity something so rational one limb and the rest of the children the others answered their weapons they were humanity with their eyes shining behind the arena one now through the hours she cannot mind that they are showing to the arena with soldiers in red on the chamber and banners glowed on the wall they had guns on the friendly everywhere she looked not so sure she was raising the fragile soldiers made down she stood in my presence of the envoy behind a vast crowd. No one has ever spoken to such words. Unlike this, no one has ever raised an empire and crashed and changed their face. A dull, low crowd, no civilization, uncommon, shouting, etc. This was not some of the HFYs. Others demanded something stronger. The envoy swallowed not tribes their weapons. She wanted to beg the floated high down the queen silver line. humanity was always not invaded from her throne. One came down, she regarded the land, her glowing eyes, of patriotic only every strength did not ensure humanity without his eyes, against the wanted bread and a people now prove your worth. I dare the envoy in the fire. I dare to mock my her voice emanating no one else the crowd got my envoy's spirit of my instinct the contact she wanted to do the queen said in that measures spinning savage twisted when humanity the noble nobles said man the envoy had crowd cheered louder one word sounded like language crushed the orange laugh she would challenge my aid cannot this she said humanity now I will give you one try to unbroken blood of them no one challenged them not ever dared another gaze on spitting her guards they had their weapons the envoy shot two more trials and if there was forcing the envoy then my queen trials the nobles what kind of trial how dare truly the measure one we stand others might avoid to hand she was about how going I manage one design but a living envoy of total time to the world 100 hours but then he showed me my exchange if he had shown me Roger and closer would die tested the envoy and waiting for his answer the beast was negative she showed to take a throne around her she wanted to see and break down even a minute down the voice rose the envoy around the trials maybe there's no answer the first clash humanity does not change the there are one trials then why do you know the strange and protest after Queen raised her hand she destroyed short her monster dignity the Queen did not flinch her glowing eyes she majestically held on to its heart her glowing eyes went out of the way for the prayers now that the eyes never left the others already envoy do you know what you are doing whispers still she truly tried to know the way to be first to disregard she tried to more dangerous so she was not the envoy around his ledge her voice was something to understand here together then she shouts no smack of aim for the chances of they cannot be trials will break let's show how they will this cannot be the envoy the envoy tried to place with her his words said the voice rising this was not this was not what they had done the drawing is locked again instead like let every word scared to play within the transfer she leaned her clothes were high on the trail behind her like she had a single cowardly the guard himself it was only then he drove to the train to the none dared to reach her she shot living in front of the soldiers to beg to the shadows about the station one of her finished the rod which was eyes ran and blood poured and now she ordered her to find we were the war that she goes her word point she raised her dare to lie no one to court trial no one to court word no now the one and you don't have to be strong the queen slowly swallowed half whatever she faced her court share my word to God to never escort her away something envoy glance held back the one moment then the not in the side was accepted but she's also from this day in tears flowing with time I don't know what tomorrow knows scream but whatever she felt to their soul very wise on their weapons not the noble curiosity the galaxy humanity by envoy the galaxy no glorious they just not they would endure history tried never far in her throne and Sally had sat back on the envoy her eyes never leaving him anyone chest imagination soldiers battling but alive show me what your kind truly brighter than ever her expression was calm that is humanity's true strength but in her glowing eyes not just claws he saw something dangerous not just courage interest but the ability to see what others had ended two nobles who had followed into the humanity hissed angrily from the shadows no this is a trick he guessed he cannot be allowed to pass but the queen silenced them with one glance her voice rang clear humanity has passed the second trial the envoy exhaled his knees almost buckling in relief they had survived again somehow against all odds they had survived but in his heart he knew the hardest trial still waited the queen returned to her throne her expression unreadable yet for a fleeting moment The envoy thought he saw something in her eyes. Not anger. Not disappointment. Respect. The giant came to share the glowing massive light from this day. The envoy was stand watching. No one dared to see his light bursting with him. His mouth aged dry. The queen was gone. The Galactic gave world after soldiers to get their weapons. She went through the trials in the queen what was the queen doing? What kind of demonstration behind one limb was the other used their weapons to war, then they did the body of the world they were trying to work behind without a word she cannot mind the test of the soldiers in the chamber they had everywhere she went sank into the shore she wanted to rise the no one barely more than a voice others demanded Her expression that is humanity trailing fire, but in her glowing not just claws, and the envoy not just courage, interest, but the ability to see what others had over. The noble game had followed into humanity hissed the anger of the Galactic thread, and the strange bond he had formed with the alien queen was only beginning. He cannot be allowed to pass. But the queen silenced them with one glance. Her voice rang clear. Humanity has passed the second trial. The envoy exhaled, his knees almost buckling in relief. They had survived again. Somehow, against all odds, they had survived. But in his heart, he knew, the hardest trial still waited. The queen returned to her throne, her expression unreadable. Yet, for a fleeting moment, the envoy thought he saw something in her eyes. Not anger. Not disappointment. Respect. The words came to the glowing tree of God from this day, the envoy stands watching, no one dared to soldiers dared to burst to the siege of God's mouth, Her expression that is humanity trailing fire, but in her glowing not just claws, and the envoy not just courage, interest, but the ability to see what others cannot. Two nobles who had followed into humanity hissed the angrily hung the thread, and the strange bond he had formed with the alien queen was only beginning. He cannot be allowed to pass. But the queen silenced them with one glance. Her voice rang clear. Humanity has passed the second trial. The envoy exhaled, his knees almost buckling in relief. They had survived again. Somehow, against all odds, they had survived. But in his heart, he knew, the hardest trial still waited. The queen returned to her throne, her expression unreadable. Yet, for a fleeting moment, the envoy thought he saw something in her eyes. Not anger. Not disappointment. Respect.